everybody, Brandy here doing my comments from my Stampin' studio today. Today is going to be a how-to video, and this particular box is made with the Framelit here that comes in the Occasions catalog. It's part of the Love You Lots suite, Painted with Love, and it is the Love You Lots box. And what it's originally made for, or what it's designed for, is to create this cute little box that you can put little Valentine cards in, or some candy, or whatnot. And as you can see, it's a small little box. It's really cute, but I wanted to create something a little bit bigger, and I kind of looked around and I found a demonstrator in UK who made these cute boxes. And I'm actually going to be making these boxes as a party favor type thing for the ladies who are coming to my catalog launch party we're going to be having here at my house on January 28th. We're going to be kind of celebrating the occasions and the celebration catalog, and I am featuring the designer paper from the Painted with Love suite. And so today I'm going to show you how to make this little box. All right, so what we need to do this box are a couple things. One is we need 4 strips of, you can either use the designer series paper itself, or if you want to kind of conserve, you can make it with cardstock and then just put the designer series paper on it, which is what I'm opting to do because I want to save some of the paper for my ladies to actually make these boxes. So I'm going to be making these boxes for them. They're going to be making this box totally with the designer series paper. So in order to make it, you need 4 panels to make the box, and these are measured out 4 and a quarter by the length of the cardstock, which is 8.5. 8.5? No, 4 and a quarter by 11. You're not going to use the entire strip, but that's exactly what you need in order to get at least one panel out of there. Now I want to point out that when you line this up, don't freak out. Let me make sure you can see that. Don't freak out if you don't have quite enough. Maybe you've measured it off. You know, sometimes it's hard to get an exact measurement when you're using the trimmer, but it's not going to matter because the things that are going to come out on the side are these little tabs, and I've already cut some for you to look at, but these little tabs on the side, and it doesn't matter if this is not exactly you know, if it's off by a little bit, because these are going to be folded in. Now I do want to caution you is to make sure that when you are lining up this die, that you do give yourself a little room on the end just to confirm that you have the exact right size, because that's going to affect this construction. If you don't have the exact same size on all 4 panels, it's going to be off. So make sure that you give yourself just a little bit of room to make sure it's cut off evenly. The sides, that doesn't matter, but this side does matter. All right. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need 2 panels that have the tabs on the side and 2 that do not. And let me show you how to trim those sides. I would not encourage you cutting them by hand unless you have a very, very steady hand. I do not, so this is how I do that. Oh, you know what? Before we do that, I'm so sorry. We need to score this bottom half at, let me see if you can see that, at 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to put mine right there, and then I'm going to score. And I'm going to do this on all of them before I start cutting it up. Now that I've done that, now I'm going to trim these side panels on 2 of them. And how I do that is I kind of line it up with the the runner in which the blade runs on the trimmer. And I kind of just feel my way to where it's going to get into that little slot. And so now I'm in that slot that's already cut from the die cut, and then I'm just going to trim it off. And so then I get a nice clean edge on there. I'm going to turn it over and do the same thing. I'm going to find that little track there. Yep, there we go. Pull it down, and then I've got that. Okay, then I'm going to do that to one other one. Again, I'm going to find that track, slice it down, flip it over, and do the same thing. There we go. All right. Don't think I need that anymore. All right, now with the two sides that I have these little flappies, I need to do some trimming. So I'm going to trim, and I hope you can see this here, right at the score line on both sides. There we go. Now these little corners here I'm going to need to trim as well. So I'm going to trim that off there. My tip for you on how to cut this as straight as possible is to line your blade up to where you want it to end. So that tip is right there where I want it to end, and then just one little thing. If you do this, you're likely to not get a straight edge. Which is why trying to trim off the side panels is a little difficult to do with the scissors, because obviously you can't do that all in one swoop. Okay. Now, I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to brandish some of these edges. Now, you will see that one side, you probably can't see this on the camera, but one side is scored. You can see the scoring a lot better than you can on the back side. This is the side that we're going to glue our designer series paper on. So I'm going to take this, and instead of folding it this way, I'm going to fold it this way and just give my bone folder a little run there. Okay, I'm going to do that with this other one. Okay. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold these bottom tabs in. On all of these. And then the top tabs, instead of folding it back, we're going to fold them forward. And actually, you could do this step after you've glued the designer series paper on, which is probably what I should have done, and that's usually what I do, but I was getting ahead of myself. All right, so as you can see, I've got these folded in this direction and this folded in that direction, and that's going to form one of the sides of the box. All right, the next thing I need to do is to adhere the designer series paper to the box, and hopefully I've got enough snail here. And this is measured, these panels are 3 inches wide, and I don't know how inches they are this way, but I have cut my designer series paper to fit just right in there, and that is at 2 3/16 this way and 4 inches from top to bottom. And I've already cut out um, 4 panels for me to adhere here. All right. Okay, so now I've got the 2 that don't have the tags or flaps on the side, and then I've got 2 that do. And what I'm going to do now, oh, I actually forgot something. Let me put this aside. Now I'm going to cut the designer series paper for the flaps. Now, I don't have something that will cut this circle out exactly, and so what I've done is I've used an oval Framelit and have cut it and then cut it in half. I used the 5th largest oval, starting from the very small going up. This is the 5th size, and I have cut out these ovals with the designer series paper. And I'm going to cut this in half, but again, I don't cut very well straight line, so I'm going to use my trimmer, and hopefully you can see this. I'm going to kind of eyeball it in half, make sure my blades are up here, and then I'm going to hold the paper down with the plastic ruler here. So I'm going to hold it down, and hopefully I don't snag it. Yep, all right. And so that gave me 2 halves, relatively the same amount on each side. It's eyeballing, but you know, you can't see it from an airplane, as my mom used to say. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing here again. If you don't hold this paper down, it's liable to move because there's nothing holding it in place. There's no track there for it to rest against. So here I go. Yep, yay. All right. So there's my tip view. Okay, and so now I need to glue this guy. On here, and I'm just going to sort of eyeball it. Well, not exact, but that'll probably bother me. But I think to myself, oh, nobody's going to be able to tell. All right. There we go. I hope you can see this. I haven't been checking to see what's showing up on the camera. All right, there we go. Okay. All right, so now I'm ready to start assembling my box. I use the tear tape, and I will pull off a length that's just slightly more than those tabs, and I'll show you why. I want this tape to be as close to the edge of this fold on this side of the fold as possible. Not this side, but this side, because this is where the seam is going to be, and I want that adhesive right there at that that point right there. All right, and so it's going to hang off a little bit. That's fine. I'm going to use my scissors. It's got gunk on it already. I need to clean these scissors. So I'm just going to trim off that. All right, so this part of the video, I'm just going to fast forward because you don't need to sit here and watch me do this over and over again. All right. now that I have the two sides that have, or the two panels that have the Adhere tear tape on it, I'm ready to start putting these together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one with the tape and one without the flap, and I'm going to adhere it there. All right, so I'm just going to pull this off. All right, this is where the tricky part comes, is making sure that you line this up. So I want to make sure this score line lines up with this score line, and this score line lines up with that. And then of course I want to make sure that I don't go over that score line, but butt up to it as close as possible. All right, and I just give it a good press. All right, then I'm going to do the next one. Take the adhesive off that. There we go. All right, again, I'm going to line this score line with this one and this score line with that one, and not going over the edge, but getting as close to it as possible. Oh, I think that looks... All right, I think I went off a little bit on that, but that's okay. All right. Okay, here we go. We're going to do this again. Let's scoot this up a little bit, make sure you can see. All right, so now I have all of the panels stuck to each other. Now I just need to close it. And before I do, I want to double check that this guy is going to be able to fold appropriately. And I see that I've gone over the line a little bit, so I just want to trim this just a tad if I can. So it doesn't give me issues when I go to fold it. So I'm just going to trim that just a little bit. And that's why lining it up just so is so important, but you can always go and do little modifications like I'm doing now. Hopefully I'm not cutting anything I'm not supposed to be cutting. Alright, so let's double check this one. That one folds good. This one folds good. That one should be alright. Still a little bit stuck up there. There we go. Alright, perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to take that last tear tape off and adhere that side. When I do that, I'm going to line it up just so, like I did the other panels, as carefully as possible. There we go. Okay, it's coming into shape. All right, so those are the flaps. I'm going to turn it over, and then I'm going to fold these guys like this. Now, this box right here is approximately a 3-inch box. I have another piece of Melon Mambo cardstock here that I've measured just a hair under 3x3. I didn't do it exactly 3x3 because lining that up for me is a little bit difficult. My eyes are not as good as they used to be, so I just did it just a little bit under. And I'm going to use Fast Fuse on this square. I usually use snail adhesive on almost everything, but I do use the Fast Fuse on something that I really want to hold. And since this is the bottom of the box, I want to make sure that it doesn't pop off. So here's the tricky part. I'm going to stand up here and eyeball this a little bit better. So I'm going to line this top part up just so, and then line up the bottom part, and then give it a good press. All right. Well, there you go. There you have it. And so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to find some colored raffia tissue paper to put in there, and then I'm going to put some dark chocolate bourbon caramel because, yes, I am in Kentucky and bourbon is king. So there you have it. So if you are interested in if you're interested in purchasing the Framelit set that will make this box, as well as the pretty designer paper, I'm going to put some links below with all of the supplies that I used to create this. And if you've got any questions, feel free to comment below, shoot me an email. If you've got any questions, just let me know. All right? Life happens. I comment. Stamp me some love.